the city of Dunhuang, bridges the past and the present. Its bustling crowds mirror thriving scenes of the ancient glory. The vast land of China has witnessed the rise and fall of dynasties and the vicissitudes of history, and today, Dunhuang no longer fulfills its former crucial roles. After 1,000 years of silence, it stands as a grand legacy, recounting ancient tales with the brilliance shared by all mankind, and welcoming fascinated visitors from all over the world. Dunhuang is not a static relic, but a living entity that has been thriving, and always will be. We, today, continuously contribute to this historical narrative by looking back at tradition to seek our cultural roots and carry forward the glory of human civilization. The Mogao Grottoes of Dunhuang are vivid portrayals of the musical history of the ancient Silk Road. From the 4th to the 14th century, brilliant Dunhuang artists used brushes and pigments to express their imaginative visions of heavenly music and dance. Out of 492 caves with murals, more than half feature music and dance scenes, including approximately 500 exotic ensembles of varying sizes, over 3,000 musicians, and over 4,500 musical instruments in a total of 44 types. The artists employed rich forms and delicate strokes to depict music and dance scenes in Buddhist rituals. Yet, they could not transcend time to share with us the sounds of those moments. Faced with these timeless scenes preserved in murals, one cannot help but wonder, what music were these ensembles playing? What sounds did these instruments produce? Could we ever hear these magnificent melodies that once flowed along the Silk Road? Wu Man, a renowned Pipa player and one of the founders of the Silk Road Ensemble, came to Dunhuang in search of inspiration. Perhaps, the enchanting sounds depicted in the murals once resonated here, and traveled along the Silk Road to distant lands.
Welcome, Ms. Wu. Welcome to the Mogao Grottoes.
Standing before the Mogao Grottoes Cave 96, Wu Man was welcomed by Zhu Xiaofeng, a scholar specializing in Dunhuang music and dance studies. Together, they entered the cave to seek ancient wisdom.
These are two types of plucked instruments that played significant roles in the history of Chinese instruments. The one on the left is a straight-necked 5-string pipa, and opposite it, on the right, is a curved-necked 4-string pipa. It's rare for these two pipas to be depicted together in the same scene among all the Dunhuang murals.
Around the 5th century, the curved neck pipa was introduced to China from Persia and India via the Silk Road. The Dunhuang murals record the evolution and flourishing of the pipa over the course of 1,000 years. Soaring flying apsaras, graceful musicians, and dancing kalavika are often accompanied by pipas. With over 700 depicted, and 50 different forms, Pipa stands out among the instruments of Dunhuang. Besides, due to the remarkable development of musical culture, the ensemble formations also became more sophisticated. Cave 220, built during the early Tang dynasty, is one of the most renowned musical caves. On the north wall of the cave, beneath medicine Buddhas, 28 musicians display musical compositions from Chang'an of Tang. They are arranged on both sides, with diverse skin tones and hairstyles, playing percussion, wind, and plucked instruments from various countries. At the center of the ensemble on the right side, one musician is depicted playing a lace ruan, a hybrid instrument combining features of ruan and pipa, which has never been seen in other documents or cave paintings. Some scholars have identified the group of dancers on the lower left side of the mural, stepping on small round carpets and waving scarves, as possibly performing the hudang dance, a popular dance style in Chang'an during the Tang dynasty. In this grand scene, large lantern towers and wheels are also present, reminiscent of the scenes described in Tang poetry, where people enjoyed lanterns during the Lantern Festival. In Chang'an, in Cave 321, there is a depiction of the unbidden melody, where musical instruments float in the air and produce sound without any visible players, evoking the joyous and unrestrained atmosphere in the Western Pure Land.
This is the cave we are about to explore, Mogao Grottoes Cave 17. It's also known as the Library Cave of Dunhuang.
What music are these ensembles in the murals performing? The answer lies within the library cave.
This is a replica of the Dunhuang Pipa score. The scroll is quite long, containing many pieces, and featuring 3 distinct styles of handwriting. Some sections are written with larger gaps between symbols, appearing more scattered, while others are more compact and orderly.
The Dunhuang Pipa score, also known as the Tang music score, discovered in the library cave, was written before 933 AD. It is the earliest Chinese music score discovered so far and is now housed in the Bibliothèque Nationale de France. Its archaic and cryptic notation has rendered it almost unplayable, earning it the title of a sealed book of music.
Can we identify who wrote it? The exact name in the historical records?
We can only speculate. It is a monophonic pipa score that once circulated in Dunhuang. It's uncertain whether this score was used as a reference, for practice as a copy, or as a part assigned to a particular musician in an ensemble. Like a modern orchestral part, we don't know yet.
I'm just speculating here. I think they might use this as the first beat. I've checked it. Regardless of where you start, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 beats. That's it.
It seems to have a rhythm like that, with small squares appearing at regular intervals. In this boxed format. Originally, it was
Band's notation, one of the early systems of Chinese musical notation.
Over the past century, music historians in China and abroad, by consulting Dunhuang music scores, ancient musical documents, and examining pipas of the Tang dynasty, have roughly deduced the pitch of each notation and transcribed the Dunhuang scores into staff notation with specific rhythms.
What did the original 25 pieces in the Dunhuang Pipa score sound like? How did they differ from or resemble the music of Central Asia and the Silk Road countries?
In the end, Wu Man chose the version transcribed by the music historian Chen Yingshi, and selected the piece Qingbei Yue. Qingbei refers to raising a cup of liquor. This composition might be a dance tune during ancient Chinese banquets.
What I really want is to find out its sound, to pluck out some melodies. I want to hear what the pipa sounds like in such an environment. Within such a space, what kind of soul might emerge?
From the desolate expanse of the desert, to the caves where melodies linger on. Wu Man's soul is enveloped by the flood of history. One after another, melodies and notes surge forth in her mind. Each performance is both an inquiry and a pursuit, as well as an echo from history. With the Pipa in her arms, Wu Man, as a member of the Silk Road Ensemble, brings Dunhuang to audiences around the world. Across from Mogao Grottoes Cave 96 lies a tranquil courtyard. It is the former residence of the first director of the Dunhuang Academy, Chang Shuhong. In 1943, Chang Shuhong, an artist deeply moved by Dunhuang murals, gave up a comfortable life in France and devoted himself to the desert. At that time, the Mogao Grottoes were completely unmanaged. Many cave facades had collapsed in ruins. After 1,000 years, countless murals lay exposed to the elements. Imitation is a rescue measure for the preservation of these murals. So Chang Shuhong led a dozen painters to imitate and study the murals. By day, like drifting sands, they hid in the scattered caves to sketch. The caves were too dark and there was no electricity, so they used mirrors to reflect sunlight into the dim interiors. By night, they gathered in their office to complete line drawings by candlelight or kerosene lamp. The next day, they would return to the caves and compare their work with the original murals to achieve the most faithful results.
They endured the hardship under these conditions, day in and day out. Sometimes they even forgot to eat, experimenting and searching for methods. The imitation method they used has been followed to this day.
In August 2012, the artists at the Institute of Fine Arts, Dunhuang Academy, received a significant task: to initiate the imitation project of Cave 285 in preparation for exhibitions at home and abroad. Cave 285, the only dated cave among the early ones at Mogao Grottoes, was excavated during the Datong era of Western Wei. During this era, the Mogao Grottoes experienced important development. Amid political upheavals, northern China saw a convergence of diverse cultures, presenting a magnificent spectacle. The ceiling is adorned with numerous celestial beings, resembling a celestial realm. The entire cave integrates Buddhist, Hindu, and Chinese traditional beliefs, reflecting the harmonious coexistence of Confucianism, Buddhism, and Taoism. The gathering of deities has earned it the title of the Pantheon of China. The murals throughout the cave display varying styles. On the west wall, the half-naked figures exemplify the concave and convex painting technique from the west. On the east and north walls, the donor figures and bodhisattvas have slender features and flowing robes, embodying the elegance admired by ancient Chinese literati. This represents the classic Central Plains style. On the south wall's central section is conversion of the 500 bandits, telling a story of karmic retribution. Legend says that in an ancient Indian kingdom called Kosala, there were 500 bandits who committed every conceivable evil. The king sent his soldiers to eliminate them. After a fierce battle, the bandits were captured. The king tried them, gouged out their eyes, and exiled them to the mountains. Their cries of sorrow reached the ears of the Buddha, and the Buddha restored their sight with divine power. Thus, the 500 bandits repented, took refuge in Buddhism, and became monks living in seclusion. Based on Buddhist texts, the ancient artists unleashed their artistic imagination to the fullest, ultimately creating this magnificent masterpiece. By observing closely, one can discover that the artist has depicted the Indian king from the story as a Central Plains emperor, wearing a Tongtianguan crown, a voluminous robe, and wielding a fly whisk. In the process of copying, the artists had to scrutinize every clue, consult historical documents, and supplement the missing or damaged parts to restore the original appearance. More than that, they needed to approach the ancients, exploring their thoughts and emotions, and capturing their spirit in meticulous detail. 3 generations of artists from the Institute of Fine Arts learned as they worked, engaging in both imitation and research. During this unforgettable time, the younger generation of artists also underwent a life-changing experience. In 2016, the imitated murals from Cave 285 were finally mounted and assembled. As a result of the preservation efforts, they were exhibited worldwide. In the autumn of 2021, Beyond the Bounds of History, a collaborative exhibition between the Palace Museum and Dunhuang Academy opened at the Palace Museum in Beijing. The meeting of Dunhuang and the Palace Museum, 2 cultural monuments of the world, drew enormous crowds, making tickets hard to come by. And the replicated Cave 285 became one of the exhibition's highlights. Imitation, an enduring method of artistic transmission in the East, preserves the appearance of the murals as much as possible, and shares the immovable caves with a wider audience, allowing more people to appreciate the charm of Dunhuang. The tombstone of Chang Shuhong stands silently, watching over the Mogao Grottoes. Generations of Dunhuang artists carry on the beliefs of their predecessors, rewrite and pass down the paintings and memories within the caves by strokes, infused with warmth and emotion. Together with the countless unknown carvers, painters, and scripture copiers throughout history, they have collectively composed the most magnificent epic of human civilization. The murals and sculptures in the Dunhuang caves, made from clay, mineral pigments, and organic adhesives, face daily threats: sand erosion, geological disasters, fluctuating humidity and temperature within the caves. These factors trigger forms of decay such as plaster disruption, flaking, and plaster detachment. Preserving Dunhuang is a race against time.
When I compare photos from 1908 with the caves today, I face a predicament. The caves are deteriorating. The 1908 photos are still full and clear. But today's images are missing details. As if parts have vanished, it presents a challenge: what to do about the deterioration.
After over 2 decades of tireless effort, the Dunhuang Academy developed a complete set of techniques for analyzing, detecting, and restoring cave murals. These methods protect the cave sculptures and murals without damaging their original state, to the greatest possible extent, preventing the onset and progression of various decays, and extending the heritage's lifespan as much as possible.
Looking closely, the pigment layer is actually not flat. It's granular. There's a bit of sodium chloride beneath the surface. Once activated by moisture, the salt dissolves, and later recrystallizes into cubic particles that exert force, gradually pushing apart and lifting each grain of pigment, causing the damage we now observe. By controlling certain environmental factors and taking appropriate measures, we can better protect the murals, potentially extending their lifespan.
The deterioration of cultural relics is irreversible. Restoring murals can only slow their decline. While carrying out imitation and technological preservation, the Dunhuang Academy embarked on the exploration of digital Dunhuang in the 1990s. Using high-definition digital photography, they began to comprehensively document and digitize the murals in the Mogao Grottoes. Committed to the digital Dunhuang Resource Library and the Dunhuang Documents Database, thus achieving permanent preservation and sustainable utilization of this cultural heritage. By 2023, digital Dunhuang has achieved abundant results, totally with nearly 300 caves digitally acquired, 145 caves processed for imagery, 164 caves virtually navigable, 45 sculptures three-dimensionally reconstructed, and nearly 50,000 negatives digitized.
Why is it necessary to preserve them forever? If something no longer exists, how can it be used? Therefore, the information must be preserved permanently so that it can be utilized indefinitely.
Preserving this grand human cultural heritage is both a historical mission entrusted to Dunhuang researchers and a collective challenge that cultural heritage guardians must address around the world. Digitization brings relics to life, allowing them to step into the public sphere and reach people around the globe. In a laboratory at Tokyo University of the Arts, with digital sculpting technology, the Buddha statue from Cave 275 is being meticulously shaped under computer control. Public exhibitions of ancient cultural heritage may risk damage, yet sealing them away for protection prevents sharing and passing on their value. The Super Cloned Cultural Properties Project at Tokyo University of the Arts aims to combine cutting-edge digital technology with traditional analog techniques to bring immovable Buddha statues out of the caves and revive them in a fresh form.
Dunhuang, a pivotal hub on the Silk Road, served as the center of all cultures. Therefore, I believe we should use digital cloning technology to transform murals, sculptures, and stone Buddhas throughout the Silk Road region into a grand hall of murals and grotto art.
In the 1980s, a group of scholars led by the renowned Japanese painter Ikuo Hirayama conducted research along the Silk Road. They discovered that Dunhuang is like the homeland of human spirit and has innumerable historical connections to Japanese culture. Since then, cultural exchanges between Dunhuang and Japan have never ceased. Cave 275, chosen for cloning, is one of the earliest surviving northern Liang 3 caves, and is classified as a specially protected cave, rarely open to the public. At its main wall stands a Maitreya Buddha statue, 3.34 meters tall, sitting cross-legged on a double lion throne. This figure blends styles from India, Greece, and Persia, and is considered a representative example of early Dunhuang Maitreya statues. Masaaki Miyasako, a Japanese artist and cultural heritage preservation expert, serves as the director of this cloning project.
All Japanese and Chinese Buddha statues were influenced by Dunhuang. Through our investigation, we found our point of origin indeed lies in Dunhuang, China.
Based on the 3D scanning data provided by the Dunhuang Academy, the team from Tokyo University of the Arts decided to replicate the statue at a 70% scale. They created a 3D digital model, used specially made foam to divide the figure into 6 parts, performed precision cutting of small decorative details, and then assembled the pieces by hand. With digital technology, there is no need for huge manpower or resources to transform a heavily protected cave, which is rarely accessible, into lightweight, detachable, and easily transportable cloned works. This solution resolves the conflict between heritage protection and public display, providing more people with the opportunity to encounter Dunhuang. The only imperfection is that the statue's hands are partially damaged. The Super Clone project is not merely about replicating the original. More importantly, it attempts to restore lost and fragmented cultural heritage. With the permission of the Dunhuang Academy, the team, based on early photographs and related research of the cave, tried to restore the right hand and left fingers. To give audiences an immersive experience, the team matched the actual materials used at the Mogao Grottoes, laying a base of Dunhuang clay and applying it to the foam surface. The murals affixed to the surface are printed on a special thin, flexible, and highly adherent material. Finally, mineral pigments are applied to the Buddha's surface.
Which part is better?
There, where the lines of sight meet. I think it's good, although it's looking slightly downwards. Maybe it would be better like this?
Eye contact.
Yes, yes.
Slightly downwards.
Yes, yes.
As the cloning neared completion, the missing right hand and the fingers were successfully restored. What was reattached was not just a pair of hands, but also the continued legacy of Dunhuang heritage in modern times.
First, we convert the three-dimensional object into a two-dimensional form, then print it back into 3 dimensions. This ability to traverse dimensions is the most fascinating aspect of this cloning technology.
To demonstrate how Maitreya teaching spread along the Silk Road, the team simultaneously restored the blue Maitreya of the Bamiani Cave, Buddha's ceiling mural in Afghanistan. The original was destroyed by war, so the team used digital data from the 1970s to recreate this lost world cultural heritage in equal proportion. Presenting Indian-style hair, Greek-style columns, and Iranian cultural symbols in the ribbons on either side of Maitreya's head. The vivid lapis lazuli blue on the uneven earthen wall echoes the blue in Dunhuang's murals, inspiring infinite reverence and wonder.
It looks great, so far the best. Lapis lazuli, it fully displays the beauty of lapis lazuli.
Amazing.
How does it feel? It was supposed to remain beautiful.
Indeed, it is. This isn't just something I say for the camera, it's genuinely beautiful. The application was so perfect that the subsequent work went smoothly too. I'm almost in tears, it's so beautiful now.
Maitreya teachings originated in the Gandhara region, which is now part of Afghanistan. It traveled along the Silk Road to Dunhuang, where it fused with Chinese culture, evolving into a new visual form. It then spread eastward to Japan, gradually permeating Japanese culture and daily life. Tracing the historical trajectory of Maitreya, Dunhuang stands at the center and core of this journey.
Dunhuang is not only a source of Japanese culture but also a grand hall of beauty. Infused with the diverse elements of the Silk Road, let us preserve it.
Inside the exhibition venue, visitors can view the statues up close, take photos, and touch them, fully immersing themselves in the experience. Even visually impaired individuals can appreciate this cultural heritage through touch, smell, and sound. At this moment, everything seems to come alive. Dunhuang culture transcends the boundaries of time and space, tightly connecting people from different countries, and once again promoting the exchange and fusion of diverse civilizations. Digital works can likewise be employed in new media communications. At the media center of the Dunhuang Academy, Du Juan is pondering a question. Over the course of time, everything changes. Is there something eternal and unchanging, something both we and the ancients have experienced? Something through which we can converse with them? In this new era, can digital images be presented in diverse forms to make Dunhuang increasingly trendy? In the manuscripts from the library cave, references to the 24 solar terms strike a strong chord with Du Juan. Poems on the 24 solar terms by Lu Xianggong is a collection of 24 poems, each corresponding to one solar term. These poems reflect the climate of the Central Plains, and incorporate seasonal phenomena, farming activities, as well as aspects of daily life and folk customs. In the late Tang dynasty, these poems spread from the Central Plains to Dunhuang, where they were preserved. Today, they stand as the earliest extant set of poems themed on the 24 solar terms. Thus, even in the distant frontier of the western regions, the 24 solar terms had already been a guide to agricultural life. So, how can we use these poems about the 24 solar terms to enable dialogue between the ancients and people today, helping modern audiences gain an understanding of Dunhuang's richness and depth? The life scenes, depicted by ancient artists in the murals, are still present in people's lives today. The fresh images of the changing seasons portray Dunhuang's beauty throughout the year, allowing us to sense the ways of living and the survival philosophy of the ancients.
Here we have farmland in the rain, and a farmer carrying a load walking through the field. Over there is someone plowing, whipping the ox. Such details are rare in Dunhuang's murals. We can use these scenes for Guyu, for example.
With the support of digital achievements and technological assistance, Du Juan and her team aim to provide the public with a more authentic, personalized experience. Through this, more people can appreciate the charm of Dunhuang culture and spontaneously become its ambassadors. At the start of spring in 2022, the Time and Seasons of Dunhuang digital interactive experience went live. With the wind rushing past, the Mogao bells ring out. Spring buds, summer greenery, autumn leaves, winter snow. Led by the cycle of the solar terms and guided by poetry, the seasonal rhythms, recorded in Dunhuang documents and murals, seem to traverse 1,000 years of rain and snow to appear before us. On the day of Liqiu, a cool breeze arrives, marking the perfect time to gain weight. Hunters ride through the mountains. Gazelles are scattering, while the tiger is lying in wait. The wild game they capture is the main course on the tables of Dunhuang people. On the day of Shuangjiang, the weather suddenly turns cold, and everything becomes desolate. Yet there are feasts and gatherings for health-preserving and joy. The lively scenes of singing and dancing bring a warm note to this bleak late autumn scene. At our fingertips, Dunhuang bursts with radiant sparks. Dunhuang culture, once distant and unfamiliar, now thrives with renewed vitality. Today, the ancient city of Dunhuang has been a popular tourist destination for young people. What draws them here might be a virtual Dunhuang fairy, a snippet of Dunhuang music and dance, or even an adorable little creature. Known online as the cave boss, the dog Lila has gained as much online popularity as the gorgeous bodhisattvas within the caves. With just a few clicks, people can customize their own Dunhuang-themed scarves. For less than €1, anyone can be a digital donor of the Dunhuang Grottoes, participating in the digital preservation of these ancient murals, and giving cultural relics a second life. Presenting an ancient yet youthful Dunhuang has been a new path for passing on the treasures of human culture.
The power of Dunhuang culture lies in inspiring people to rethink their current lives in different ways. They can enter through various portals to initiate dialogues across different times, spaces, and civilizations. The inheritance and development of culture require the collective participation of each generation.
Relics are still, but culture flows. Heritage may be dead, yet the humanistic spirit and cultural essence behind it remain vivid and dynamic. Having weathered 2,000 years, Dunhuang now meets us. It is a precious gift left to us by the ancients, both an honor and a new responsibility and mission. As a recorder, witness, and writer of Chinese cultural legacy, Dunhuang stands as a valuable cultural archive for our nation, a splendid cultural legacy for the world, and a mysterious revelation for human civilizations. This fragment, liquor consumption account of the Guiyi Army Office, was unearthed from the library cave. According to the text it contains, this manuscript recorded the official liquor consumption by the Guiyi Army Office over 1,000 years ago. However, due to various historical and contemporary reasons, it was split into 3 parts. The first part remained in the homeland, preserved by the Dunhuang Academy. The middle and last parts were taken to Japan and France, respectively. These irreparable fractures silently convey the rise and fall of fate. Dunhuang is a sorrowful history of our nation's academia, lamented the renowned scholar Chen Shuhong in the preface to the catalogue. Dunhuang Jiayulu. In the early 20th century, foreign expeditions arrived in Dunhuang, causing a vast number of precious manuscripts and paintings either to flow into foreign lands, or be hidden away in private collections. The question of when these 3 fragments might be reunited has long captivated Dunhuang researchers worldwide, as they represent the shared fate of nearly 70,000 scattered Dunhuang artifacts. In 1997, following his father's dying wish, Aoyama Keiji, the son of Japanese calligrapher Aoyama Sanwoo, donated 8 scrolls from his family's collection back to the Dunhuang Academy. One of these is the middle part of liquor consumption account of the Guiyi Army Office. Liu Yongzhen, then deputy director of the Academy Data Center, recalls that scene vividly.
This is the photo taken in 1997, when Mr. Aoyama donated 8 scrolls to the Dunhuang Academy. This is Director Duan, this is Mr. Aoyama, and this is me, when the middle part was perfectly pieced together with the one in our collection. The entire venue erupted in excitement. Everyone was moved beyond words.
The perfect matching of the 2 fragmented scrolls has led to a significant discovery. This scroll was originally not just an account book. On the reverse side, there was commentary on the Diamond Sutra. Unfortunately, however, this scroll is still missing the crucial final section. With Dunhuang documents scattered and stored in dozens of institutions worldwide, it has long been difficult to conduct research. In earlier times, many Chinese scholars traveled extensively across various countries seeking first-hand research materials. Some documents were photographed and brought back in the form of film. But it was still a drop in the ocean. Thus, international collaboration became imperative. In 1994, led by the British Library, the International Dunhuang Project was officially established.
We hope that this project will make these wonderful collections accessible to people worldwide, but also that will foster more, communication between scholars and the interested public, but also, facilitate research.
These scattered documents from the library cave have been carefully restored, digitized, and shared online for free. So far, over 570,000 items, including paintings, artifacts, scrolls, images, and historical photographs, have been uploaded. Bibliographic and image data from 30 collection-holding institutions in various countries continue to be supplemented in abundance.
These resources enable researchers like us to have a clear view, making the project highly significant. For the depth and development of Dunhuang studies.
The lament that once plagued generations of scholars has been an echo of history. Currently, China is recognized worldwide as the center for Dunhuang studies. With over 3,000 publications covering various aspects of Dunhuang studies, and research achievements rank first globally. In this context, achieving the digital sharing of Dunhuang cultural and artistic resources worldwide has been a new major task.
These documents are invaluable for studying the Silk Road. With the majority focused on Buddhist scriptures, but about 10% consisting of social and military documents, covering fields such as astronomy, medicine, mathematics, multiplication tables, and more. Upon completion of this project, our database will be open to Dunhuang scholars worldwide.
Liquor consumption account of the Guiyi Army Office welcomed a chance for reunion amidst this great wave. In 2015, the Bibliothèque Nationale de France donated high-resolution digital files of 4,000 library cave documents to the Dunhuang Academy, including the final part of liquor consumption account of the Guiyi Army Office. This scroll, which had a tumultuous journey, finally achieved its virtual reunion through digital technology. After years of effort by 3 countries. A precious glimpse into the Silk Road was thus revealed to the public. The account book records 213 expenditures over 6 months, encompassing not only interactions between Dunhuang and surrounding areas but also liquor used for various holidays, celebrations, and ceremonial events. the total amount of liquor recorded exceeds 13,000 liters, reflecting the fusion of multiple civilizations in Dunhuang and the economic prosperity of exchanges along the Silk Road. In today's globalizing world, Dunhuang cultural and artistic heritage has been endowed with more vitality, as shared cultural resources for all humanity. Only by better sharing our history can we better share our future.
I don't think Dunhuang is stuck in the past, as it was 1,600 years ago. Today, the fusion of Chinese and Western cultures is occurring in a new context, in a new era. Once again,
for younger people who didn't go to Dunhuang, should be a part of their knowledge about the world, that it's an important part of the world.
Culturally, it's a very significant relic in human history. We must find ways to revive it.
We should use new methods and technologies to spread Dunhuang culture across the globe. Tell the story of Dunhuang and spread the voice of China.
Each beauty in its own right. All beauties together, and the world in harmony.
The ancient Dunhuang is a mirror for humankind, reflecting how we carry on the past, observe the present, and move toward the future. The enduring caves mark the civilization's resonance of evolution and destiny. Generation after generation of exploration allows us to hear, to see, and even to touch its rhythmic pulse, its warmth of breath, and its epic vitality, faith, and spirit. Whether in the past, the present, or the future, Dunhuang is a window for humanity to understand itself. Under the open sky, amid the Gobi Desert, seasons pass, and the world changes, but Dunhuang stands silent, forever telling the story. A story of the world, of humanity, and of eternity.